Art the Clown's first appearance. Let's do it. All Hallows Eve is about this babysitter named Sarah, yes, who is played by the same woman who plays the talk show host in the opening of Terrifier. And she is babysitting these two siblings, Tia and Timmy, on Halloween night. As they're going through their candy, Timmy sees that in his bag he has this VHS tape. At first, Sarah refuses to let them watch it, but they beg her, and eventually she reluctantly agrees. So they start to watch this VHS tape, and this is where the movie becomes an anthology. The first segment we meet this girl named Casey, and she is waiting in this train or bus station. And she's approached by none other than Art the Clown. This was his first appearance. They didn't really get him right yet, okay? We know how Art the Clown operates, so of course he ends up kidnapping Casey. Casey wakes up to find herself chained in this underground room alongside these other two women named Kristen and Sarah. They say that there was a third girl here, but she got dragged away by her chains. And shortly after saying that, Sarah gets dragged away by her chains. So Casey convinces Kristen to follow and see where these chains lead. They get to the end and Casey tries to break out of her chains, but as she's doing that, Kristen is offed by this humanoid looking creature. This humanoid attacks Casey, but accidentally frees her from her chains when he swings a cleaver at her and misses. So she makes a run for it, but she doesn't make it very far, because she is captured and tied down by this group of hooded figures. This is where it gets weird. Casey looks up and sees that there is a pregnant woman also chained up. The group proceeds to cut and take the baby out of her. Casey is then essayed by the leader of this group, who looks like this and turns out to be Satan. And that segment ends. So after this, Sarah's like, fuck this, get to bed, we're done here. So she puts them to bed but proceeds to watch the rest of the tape herself. The second segment is about this girl named Caroline, and she and her husband just moved into this new house. Her husband, John, is at work, and it's nighttime and she's unpacking. However, while she's doing this, she looks outside and sees this bright object come out of the sky and crash, and all of the power goes out. She starts to hear noises and think that somebody's in the house, so she runs out to her car, but it won't start. She tries to call her husband, but the call gets cut off. So everything is malfunctioning. So she starts to search the house, and that's when she runs into this fucking thing. And this alien is stalking her around the house. A struggle ensues, but she manages to kind of stun the thing and then runs into this little room and hides. While she's under there, her fucking phone rings, which gives away her location, and the alien finds her. The alien takes her and drags her off into the fucking abyss. As he does that, she pulls on this sheet which is covering this painting, which she had mentioned to a friend earlier is this painting that John drew that scares her. And it's revealed that it is a painting of Art the Clown, and this segment ends. The third and final segment is about this woman. We never get her name, but she's driving down this dark road at night and she pulls over at a gas station. And when she gets there, she sees the station attendant yelling at somebody. And it turns out he's yelling at Art the Clown for shitting all over the bathroom, which we saw in Terrifier. So Art ends up leaving, and the gas station attendant fills her car, and as he's giving her directions, she hears something coming from inside the gas station. The attendant goes in to investigate, and when he doesn't come back for a little bit, she goes in. And sure enough, she finds that Art the Clown has completely hacked him to pieces with a hacksaw. So she makes a run for it. Art chases, but she manages to escape and gets in her car and drives away. But as she's driving, all of a sudden, Art shows up in her fucking back seat. And he puts cling wrap around her face from the back seat and tries to suffocate her. She manages to rip through it, and she slams on her brakes and gets the fuck out of the car and runs off into the woods. She manages to find this shed and she hides in it. But not long after, Art the Clown literally just crawls out of the dirt, crawls out of the ground. So this motherfucker is everywhere. And he whips her with this whip made of rusty weapons, which we've seen that in Terrifier. But she manages to stab him and incapacitate him long enough to run away. So she gets back to the road and she stops a car and she's picked up by this driver. He starts to drive her to a nearby police station until another car pulls up directly next to them. And of course it's Art the Clown driving. How he can drive a car, I don't know. But he ends up shooting the man, which causes the car to crash, which also causes the woman to be knocked unconscious. Sometime later, she wakes up to find herself strapped to this operating table, and all of her limbs and her breasts have been removed. And in her skin is carved these obscenities. And Art the Clown just stands over her horrified self and laughs, and the segment ends. So Sarah at this point turns the TV off. She's like, fuck this is too disturbing. And then she hears the phone ring. When she goes to answer the phone, it's the voice of the woman from the third segment making the 911 call that she tried to make. And then the TV turns on by itself. When Sarah approaches it, she sees that it's this dark basement room. And Art the Clown comes out from behind a pole and starts to approach the screen and then starts banging on the TV screen, from the inside. And then it switches and Sarah sees herself in the living room as she is right now. And behind her, Art the clown approaches, but when she turns around, he's not there. So she's panicking, obviously, and she takes the VHS out and she slams it and she smashes it to pieces. But then she hears Tia and Timmy screaming from upstairs. As Sarah climbs the stairs, sure enough, she runs into a blood-soaked Art the clown. He is silently laughing as he does and gestures for her to enter the kids' room. Sarah covers her eyes in fear, and when she uncovers them, Art is gone. So she goes into the kids' room and finds just their heads. And the word Art written on the wall in blood, and the movie ends. So yeah, he's just as insane in this one.